The night rain had turned the city streets into mirrors of regret, and as the old sedan rolled forward with its cracked windshield and flickering dashboard light, the man behind the wheel felt like every mile was dragging him deeper into a life he never meant to live. This was supposed to be temporary, just a few rides, just enough money to survive another week. He never imagined that the very first request would lead him straight into the one past he had spent years running from, the one mistake that had shattered more than one life, including his own. Before the story goes any further, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. His name was Daniel Miller, a Christian man raised in a small Midwestern town in the United States, where church bells marked Sundays and people still believed hard work fixed everything. Daniel had once believed that too. He had married young, worked construction, and dreamed of a simple, decent life. But life did not stay simple. When his wife died unexpectedly years earlier, the ground beneath him collapsed. Grief hollowed him out, fear whispered lies, and responsibility felt heavier than he could carry. Their daughter, Emily, had been just 9 years old when a tragic accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. Hospital bills piled up, his job disappeared, and Daniel broke in the quietest, most shameful way possible. One night, overwhelmed and convinced he was ruining her life, he walked away. He told himself she would be better off without him. That lie became the foundation of his survival. Years passed. Emily was raised by her aunt in another state, while Daniel drifted from town to town, job to job, always working, always tired, always alone. He tried not to think about the little girl with bright eyes who once waited by the door for him to come home. He tried not to remember the wheelchair, the hospital smell, the moment he signed papers and vanished. Eventually, life cornered him again. Now a single father to a young son from a brief relationship that ended badly, Daniel was drowning once more. Rent overdue, fridge empty, pride long gone. Ride-share driving was not a dream, it was desperation on 4 worn tires. The request came in just after midnight, a pickup near a rehabilitation center on the east side of the city. Daniel sighed, adjusted the rearview mirror, and pulled up. The building's automatic doors slid open slowly, and a wheelchair rolled out, pushed by a nurse who helped the passenger into the back seat with practiced care. Daniel kept his eyes forward, as drivers were trained to do, but something about the weight in the air felt different. When he glanced at the mirror, his heart nearly stopped. The young woman's face had matured, but the eyes were unmistakable, the same eyes that once searched crowds for him. Emily. Time seemed to freeze inside the car. Daniel's hands trembled on the steering wheel, his breath shallow, his mind screaming to escape. Emily did not recognize him at first. Why would she? To her, he was just another anonymous driver, another stranger passing through her life. But Daniel knew. He knew the scar near her eyebrow, the curve of her smile, the quiet strength she carried even now. Guilt slammed into him with a force that made his chest ache. The ride began in silence, broken only by the hum of tires on wet pavement. Daniel drove carefully, every turn feeling like a test of his soul. Emily stared out the window, lost in her own thoughts, perhaps used to loneliness, perhaps carrying wounds he could never see. Daniel wondered what her life had been like without him, who had held her hand during surgeries, who had taught her resilience, who had replaced the father who ran. As miles passed, memories flooded him, teaching her to read, lifting her onto his shoulders at the county fair, promising he would always be there. Promises shattered by fear. Daniel felt smaller with every block. He wanted to tell her everything, to confess, to beg forgiveness, but fear kept him silent. What right did he have to reopen wounds he caused? The city lights blurred through tears he refused to let fall. The ride was supposed to end at a modest apartment complex. As they approached, Emily finally looked at the mirror again, her gaze lingering longer this time. Recognition did not come as a sudden shock, but as a slow, painful realization. Her body stiffened. Daniel felt it without seeing it. The air shifted, He pulled over gently, parking near the entrance, his heart pounding so loudly he was sure she could hear it. Emily stared at him now, fully, her expression unreadable. Daniel turned slightly, his voice failing him, his face etched with years of regret. The moment stretched endlessly. This was the confrontation he had avoided for over a decade. The truth had arrived uninvited, unstoppable. What followed was not anger in the way Daniel expected. It was something heavier, something quieter. Emily's life had taught her endurance, and her pain had long since settled into a permanent companion. Seeing her father again did not reopen a fresh wound, it pressed on an old scar that had never healed. Daniel explained himself clumsily, shamefully, admitting his weakness, his fear, his wrong choices. He did not justify them. He owned them. For the first time in years, he stopped running. Emily listened. Years of therapy had taught her patience, and years of abandonment had taught her self-reliance. She had built a life without him, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. Hearing his confession did not erase the past, but it cracked something open. Forgiveness did not rush in like a miracle. It arrived cautiously, like a sunrise after a long night. That night did not end with hugs or instant healing. It ended with an exchange of contact information, a quiet understanding that something broken had been acknowledged. Daniel drove away afterward and pulled over a block later, collapsing into sobs he had held inside for too long. For the first time, he felt the weight of his sin not crushing him, but pushing him toward change. In the weeks that followed, Daniel kept driving, but every ride felt different. He started attending church again, sitting in the back pew, listening to sermons about redemption that felt written just for him. He called Emily. At first, conversations were short, careful. Then they grew longer. Emily told him about her advocacy work, helping other disabled children find hope. Daniel told her about his son, about his failures, about his desire to be better, even if it was late. Slowly, painfully, they rebuilt something new. Not the past, but a future. Daniel learned that forgiveness is not forgetting, and love does not erase consequences. It grows in honesty and patience. He visited Emily, helped where he could, listened more than he spoke. He became present, something he had never truly been before. One evening, months later, Daniel drove his last ride-share shift. He had found steadier work, and life was beginning to stabilize. Emily attended his small church service that Sunday, rolling down the aisle with quiet strength. When Daniel saw her there, tears filled his eyes, not from guilt this time, but gratitude. Redemption had not come easily, but it had come honestly. If this story is touching your heart right now, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Stories of pain, forgiveness, and second chances matter because they remind us we are never too broken to change. Just before we end, I ask you one special thing. Comment below with the word forgiveness if you believe that no mistake is greater than grace, and no past is beyond redemption. Daniel's life was not magically fixed. Emily's pain did not disappear. But something profound had happened. A man who once ran from responsibility chose to face it. A daughter once abandoned chose to open her heart, even carefully. In a world quick to judge and slow to forgive, their story stood as quiet proof that love can survive even the worst failures. And sometimes the road to redemption begins not with a miracle, but with a simple ride that changes everything.